On Halloween night, my friend and I were immersed in the excitement of trick-or-treating in our quiet little town. The evening had been like any other Halloween, with children laughing, parents chatting, and the occasional spooky decoration adorning the houses. We had just visited a house where a particularly generous neighbor resided, filling our bags with an abundance of candies. I turned around for a fleeting moment, glancing down at my candy bag to inspect my loot. The colorful wrappers glinted in the dim streetlight, and a satisfied smile crept across my face. But when I looked up, my friend was nowhere to be seen. The once bustling street had turned eerily quiet. Confusion flickered in my mind as I scanned the familiar surroundings. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary until now. Panic surged through me. My friend had disappeared in the blink of an eye. Heart racing, I decided to check the next house to see if that's where my friend had gone. The door was slightly ajar, and a sense of foreboding settled in my gut. With trembling hands, I pushed the door open, my flashlight casting long, ominous shadows across the walls. The house was dimly lit, and a sickly sweet smell hung in the air. I called out my friend's name, my voice quivering. No response. As I ventured deeper into the house, I heard muffled sounds coming from a nearby room. With each step, the sounds grew louder, a sinister combination of whispers and stifled cries. I followed the noise, my heart pounding in my chest. Peering into a half-open door, I saw my friend bound and gagged, a look of sheer terror in their eyes. Standing over them was a twisted figure. The mask that obscured the face of the twisted figure was horrifying in its simplicity. It was a pale, featureless mask, devoid of any expression, which somehow made it even more menacing. The lack of eyes, nose, or mouth created an unsettling void where a person's face should be, giving the impression that the figure wearing it had been stripped of their humanity. Its surface was cracked and discolored, as if it had been through years of macabre rituals. Stray strokes of paint, now faded, hinted at what might have once been a ghoulish grin, but time had rendered it into a grotesque abstraction. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a wooden baseball bat. With adrenaline surging through my veins, I grabbed it, my grip tight with determination. With all the strength I could muster, I swung it towards the masked man, the impact resonating through the room. For a heart-stopping moment, time seemed to freeze as the figure crumpled to the floor, momentarily incapacitated, but the danger was far from over. Trembling hands fumbled with the knots that bound my friend, each second feeling like an eternity. The air was thick with tension as the masked man stirred, his groans filling the room. Just as despair threatened to consume us, a sudden crash echoed from the hallway. We turned, wide-eyed, to see a shelf collapsing, creating a barrier between us and the recovering assailant. It was our saving grace, a stroke of luck in the midst of darkness. With newfound urgency, I managed to free my friend, their gratitude and relief palpable. Together, we made a frantic escape, crawling over debris, our breaths hitched with every sound from behind. The narrow escape felt like a miracle as we burst out of the house, gasping for precious air. But the night wasn't over yet. We could hear the masked man's enraged shouts as he realized our escape, his footsteps growing closer. It was a race against time, our legs pumping, hearts pounding, and terror driving us forward. As we reached the brightly lit streets once more, our footsteps drowned in the noise of the Halloween festivities. For a moment, the nightmare of that house seemed like an insurmountable ordeal. But the danger was not lost on us. We glanced back, and in the dim moonlight, we caught the glimpse of the masked man, his eyes ablaze with fury, pursuing us through the shadows. Just as it seemed we wouldn't make it, fate intervened in the form of my cousin, Sarah, who happened to be passing by. Her car screeched to a halt, recognizing us and sensing our desperation. The door flung open, and we jumped inside, the engine roaring to life just as the masked man reached us. In that moment of desperation, Sarah, her eyes wide with concern, slamming her foot on the gas pedal, propelling us away from the danger with an adrenaline-fueled burst of speed. The car roared to life, tires screeching on the asphalt, leaving the house and the menacing masked man in our dust. But our escape was not without a price. The masked man, consumed by fury, managed to land a powerful blow on our car's rear taillight with the same baseball bat I had used to incapacitate him. The sound of shattering glass echoed in the night as we sped away, a stark reminder of the danger we had narrowly escaped. We left the masked man behind. His furious shouts gradually faded into the distance as we put more distance between us and that nightmare. In the safety of the speeding car, my friend and I clung to each other, our shared experience forging an unbreakable bond between us. The terror of that night had etched itself into our memories, and in that shared trauma, we found a strength that united us in ways we couldn't have ever imagined. Sarah, our unexpected savior, remained focused, her eyes darting between the road and the rearview mirror. Each worried glance she cast behind us emphasized the gravity of our situation. As the car carried us away from the nightmare, we knew that without her timely intervention, our fate might have been tragically different. Gratitude swelled in our hearts for this unexpected hero, a beacon of hope in our darkest hour. In the days that followed our harrowing escape, life in our town slowly returned to normal. The incident at the house became a chilling tale, a whispered warning shared among friends during sleepovers. But for my friend and me, the memory was etched into our minds like a scar. The police had apprehended him after an investigation into the house led them to a chilling discovery. A hidden chamber filled with grotesque trophies, grim reminders of his heinous crimes. Among them were personal items belonging to the victims of unsolved cases, connecting the masked man to a string of mysterious disappearances that had plagued the region for years. We realized the magnitude of what we had narrowly escaped that fateful Halloween night. We had unknowingly foiled his latest attempts, and our courage had helped us bring an end to his reign of terror. The town, once blissfully unaware of the danger lurking in its midst, now held its breath in a mix of horror and relief. The masked man, whose true identity was finally unveiled, was arrested, his face splashed across newspapers and television screens. As the town grappled with the shock of the revelation, my friend and I found solace in each other. Our shared experience, once a source of nightmares, had become a testament to our resilience. As the holiday season approached, the town adorned itself with festive lights, and a laughter once again filled the air. Yet, the memory of that Halloween night lingered, serving as a stark reminder of the darkness that could lurk beneath the surface. On that eerie Halloween night, the atmosphere crackling with anticipation, 4 adventurous souls, Olivia, Ethan, Mia, and I, embarked on our cherished tradition, the annual Trickster's Trail scavenger hunt. Clad in our meticulously crafted costumes, we ventured into the night, our hearts brimming with excitement. Armed with nothing but our flashlights and a list of mysterious items to find, we began our thrilling quest amidst the echoing laughter of the moonlit night. The scavenger hunt led us on a twisted path through the town, the items on our list becoming increasingly bizarre. A peculiar device, a vial of mysterious liquid, an eerie mask. We laughed it off at first, thinking it was all in good Halloween fun. But as we followed the clues, our laughter faded into uneasy silence. Eventually, the scavenger hunt led us to an isolated meeting place deep within the woods. The air was thick with tension as we approached the location. The atmosphere seemed to change, growing colder and more ominous. We exchanged nervous glances, realizing that something was terribly wrong. As we cautiously entered the clearing, our flashlights illuminated a group of cloaked figures standing in a circle. Their eyes glowed with an eerie intensity, and their whispered chants filled the night air. It was then that the horrifying truth dawned on us. We had unwittingly stumbled upon a gathering of a modern-day cult. Fear gripped us as we watched in horror, realizing the danger we were in. Slowly and cautiously, we began to move away from the clearing, desperate to escape the clutches of the cultists. Every rustle of leaves and crack of twigs beneath our feet felt like a thunderous echo in the silent night. As we backed away from the terrifying scene, our hearts pounding with fear, we suddenly felt a strong grip on our shoulders. Before we could react, other cultists who had silently crept up from behind had nabbed us, their faces hidden beneath hooded cloaks. Panic set in as we realized there was no way to escape their clutches. One of the cultists, his eyes gleaming with fanaticism, dragged us back towards the ritual site. The clearing was now alive with eerie chanting, and the air crackled with dark energy. The cultist leader raised a ceremonial dagger, his voice resonating with fervor as he prepared to perform some ritual that would supposedly grant them unimaginable power. Amidst the chaos, Mia managed to wriggle free from the cultist's grip. Her eyes widened with determination as she made a split-second decision. She lunged forward, using all of her strength to knock the cultist holding Ethan off balance. With a quick and agile movement, Ethan escaped, his eyes filled with gratitude. With newfound courage, Ethan swiftly grabbed a fallen branch and fought back against the cultists, giving Olivia and I the chance to break free. Together, we ran towards Mia, who was now engaged in a desperate struggle with the cultists. With sheer determination, we managed to overpower our captors, giving Mia the chance to escape their clutches. As the cultists recoiled from the unexpected resistance, we made a run for it, sprinting through the dense woods. Behind us, the cultists' angry shouts echoed through the nights, spurring us to run faster. Just as we thought we were in the clear, we heard an ominous chanting growing louder behind us. The cultists were closing in, their determination unwavering. With every ounce of strength and adrenaline-fueled energy, our group pushed ourselves harder, our breaths ragged and our hearts racing. Just as it seemed the cultists would catch up, Mia spotted a narrow path leading to a cliff edge. Without a second thought, she led the way, with us following her blindly. As we reached the cliff, we realized we had reached a dead end, with nowhere left to run. But Mia, quick-witted and brave, spotted a series of vines hanging down the cliff face. With urgency in her voice, she urged us to climb down. With desperation fueling our movements, we scaled down the cliff, our fingers gripping the vines tightly. Below, the dark waters of a river roared, but we had no choice. We leapt one by one into the water, the cold shock taking our breath away. As we surfaced, gasping for air, we saw the cultists on the cliff above, their furious shouts fading as they realized their prey had escaped. Clinging to each other, we swam to the opposite bank, where we all collapsed onto the rocky shore, safe from the clutches of the cultists. The night had been a harrowing ordeal, but we had managed to escape, thanks to Mia's quick thinking and our unwavering determination. As we caught our breaths and the adrenaline began to subside, the reality of our escape sunk in. We had narrowly evaded a dangerous cult, our lives forever changed by the horrifying encounter. Huddled together on the rocky shore, we knew we'd faced true terror and emerged stronger, our friendship now a bond, forged in the crucible of fear and survival. The night air was heavy with an unshakable tension as my friends Jack, Emma, and I braved an unfamiliar road while out trick-or-treating. We had heard rumors of a house at the end of the road that might be giving out full-size candy bars, and that was reason enough for us to venture up there. However, as we approached, excitement turned to unease. The house, looking completely abandoned, stood dark and foreboding against the night sky. Emma, always the easily frightened one, hesitated. "I don't know, guys. This place gives me the creeps," she said, her voice trembling. Jack, ever the brave soul, teased her. "Come on, Em. It's probably just a Halloween prank. Let's check it out." Intrigued and thinking it might be part of the spooky ambiance, we all agreed to explore, thinking we would find harmless Halloween fun inside. Little did we know, our innocent adventure was about to take a chilling turn. In that dimly lit room, the glow of our flashlights struggled against the suffocating darkness, casting long, eerie shadows that danced across the walls like eerie apparitions. The air hung heavy with dust particles, catching the faint light and giving the room an otherworldly aura. Upon the table, beneath the feeble beams of our flashlights, lay a chilling tableau of invasion. A multitude of photographs were strewn across the surface, snapshots frozen in time, capturing unsuspecting townfolk in the mundane moments of their lives. Each image seemed to exude an unsettling vulnerability, their privacy stolen by the lens of a twisted voyeur. The photographs, yellowed with age and curling at the edges, told tales of lives interrupted, of stolen moments and unguarded emotions frozen in perpetual haunting. Our initial shock was quickly overshadowed by a bone-chilling dread that settled over us like a suffocating shroud. The silence of the room was broken by a soft creak, the sound resonating through the house with a sinister cadence. It was as though the very walls were whispering secrets, their ancient timbers groaning under the weight of the unspeakable horrors they had witnessed. In the midst of this macabre discovery, our breaths caught in our throats, and our hearts pounded in our chests. The soft creak persisted, echoing through the house like a malevolent whisper, reminding us that we were not alone in that dreadful place. Every nerve in our bodies screamed in primal instinct, urging us to flee, yet an unshakable curiosity rooted us to the spot, compelling us to unravel the sinister mystery that lay hidden in the shadows. Turning, we saw a figure emerging from the darkness, their face a landscape of scars etched with tales of unimaginable pain. Panic gripped us, and we ran as if our lives depended on it, which in that moment they surely did. The chase that ensued was a blur of heart-pounding fear and adrenaline-fueled sprinting. As we raced down the narrow corridor, I glanced back just in time to see Emma stumble and fall. She let out a terrified scream as the intruder closed in, their footsteps growing louder with every passing second. Without thinking, Jack, the fastest among us, turned back and dashed towards Emma, his arms outstretched. With a swift and powerful motion, Jack lunged at the intruder, tackling him with all his strength. The impact sent them crashing to the floor, a whirlwind of flailing limbs and desperate grunts. Jack struggled valiantly, his muscles straining against the intruder's relentless grip. The room seemed to pulse with the intensity of their struggle, the very air charged with the clash of wills. Emma, her eyes wide with terror, scrambled to her feet, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. With trembling hands, she reached out to help Jack, her fingers just brushing his before he was pulled away by the intruder's force. It was a heart-stopping moment. Jack's face contorted with sheer determination, refusing to succumb to the fear that threatened to consume him. He fought with every ounce of strength he had, his grip slipping on the intruder, revealing a glimpse of a twisted, malicious smile beneath the shadows. But just as it seemed the intruder might overpower him, Emma, driven by sheer desire to save our friend, found a heavy wrought iron candlestick on the floor. Gripping it tightly, she swung it at the intruder with all her might, the metal connecting with a resounding thud. The impact momentarily stunned the assailant, giving Jack the opportunity he needed to wriggle free from their grip. The room echoed with the clash of metal against flesh, a desperate bid for survival in the heart of darkness. Breathless and terrified, we fled the abandoned house on Willow Road, our footsteps echoing in the night. With hearts pounding, we ran through the darkness until we reached the nearest house, its windows glowing softly with the warmth of home. Without hesitation, we pounded on the door, our knuckles rapping urgently against the wood. A kindly elderly woman opened the door, her eyes widening with concern as she took in our panicked expressions. "What happened, children?" she asked, her voice steady despite the late hour. Gasping for breath, Emma managed to speak between sobs. "There's someone in the house down the lane. They chased us. We need help, please. Can we use your phone to call the police?" The woman ushered us inside, her face etched with worry. She led us to the living room, where an old rotary phone sat on a wooden table. With trembling hands, Jack dialed 911, his voice urgent as he explained the situation to the dispatcher on the other end of the line. We huddled together, seeking comfort in each other's presence, while Jack provided the necessary information to the authorities. As we waited for the police to arrive, the kind woman offered us warm blankets and hot tea, her gestures of kindness providing a momentary respite from the horrors outside. As we huddled together in the kind woman's living room, seeking refuge from the horrors of Willow Road, a sudden crash echoed from the hallway. Our heads snapped towards the sound, our hearts stopping in our chests. The air seemed to thicken with dread as we realized the intruder had somehow found his way to us, breaching the sanctuary we had thought was impenetrable. The elderly woman's eyes widened with terror, her hands shaking as she clutched her chest. Before anyone could react, the intruder emerged from the shadows, his eyes wild with malevolence. He advanced towards the elderly woman, his intentions clear. We screamed, our voices a cacophony of fear and desperation, but it was as if the room had frozen in time, trapping us in a nightmare. In an act of extraordinary bravery, the woman fought back, her frail form a stark contrast to the sinister force before her. She grabbed a heavy vase from a nearby table and swung it at the intruder with surprising strength. The vase connected with a sickening thud, causing the intruder to stumble back momentarily. It was a courageous but futile resistance against the darkness that had invaded her home. As we watched in horror, our faith and safety shattered. The police burst through the door, their presence a beacon of hope in the sea of despair. With swift and decisive action, they subdued the intruder, preventing further harm to the courageous woman who had defended us. Relief washed over us like a tidal wave as the intruder was led away, his reign of terror finally brought to an end. The police officers, their faces grim with determination, assured us that we were safe now. However, the feeling of security we had briefly found in the woman's home was forever shattered. The memory of the attack would haunt our dreams. As we stepped out into the night, accompanied by the police officers, we walked away from Willow Road forever changed. The knowledge that evil could strike even in the most unexpected moments gnawed at our minds, leaving us with a newfound sense of vigilance. We were survivors, bound together by the shared ordeal, and though the scars of that night would never fully fade, we carried with us the invaluable lesson that courage, kindness, and the timely arrival of help could, in the end, triumph over the darkest of evils. Thanks for joining us for these spine-tingling tales. If you have your own chilling stories you'd like us to feature, feel free to send them to the email address in our bio. And if you enjoyed the thrill, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more mysterious content. Remember, the world is full of mysteries, so keep your imagination alive. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the unknown.